Ariana DeBose, star of Summer, the Donna Summer Musical, and a recent Tony nominee for Featured Actress in a Musical. Thank you so much for chatting with me today. You play one of three different versions of Donna Summer, the Disco Donna, as it covers her whole life in this show. I'm curious to know, how were you first introduced to Donna Summer's music?
Well, thanks for having me. Forgot to say that earlier. I was first introduced to Donna's music when I was, I suppose, around 8 years old. My mom and I used to Donna Summer size in our living room. So, like, we would do jumping jacks to Last Dance. It's actually quite an excellent song. And like crunches to On the Radio and push-ups to Dim All the Lights. It's so that was the first time that I discovered her voice.
So like a better version of Jazzercise. um, I assume you had to do a little bit of research on her for this part. Was there anything sort of surprising or interesting that you learned about her?
There was a really great Rolling Stone article that was written in the 70s where she talks about, sort of like her sexual preferences a little bit. Like, and it really goes there, like in a way that not many of the other interviews did. But in contrast to that, in talking with her family, I discovered she didn't like to be touched. So I was like, oh, that's really intriguing. She went through this whole evolution from like the time that interview was conducted to at some point realizing, oh, I might, think that I like to be submissive, quote unquote, in my sexual life at some point. And then she got to a place where she was like, nah, I don't want to be touched. Thank you.
Okay.
Interesting, right?
Yeah.
How does someone get from point A to point B? So that was a fun experiment for me.
Was there anything about her that you think an aspect that you're able to identify with that you can bring to the part?
I do identify with her struggling to accept that, she's seen in a particular light. She had such a problem being called the disco queen because she thought it pigeonholed her, put her in a box. And I came into the business as a dancer primarily. And, the longer I was lucky enough to work, I began to feel a little pigeonholed too, because I'm someone who likes to continue to challenge myself and evolve. And there did come a point where I was like, I love the work that I'm doing, but I think I might have more to offer. I'm also a realist. And I was like, if I'm willing to do the work and go back to training and go to class, like all the classes, and get in with all the best vocal coaches, and if I'm willing to see it through, then why should I be pigeonholed? So I did identify with her in that way. She also started out in musical theater, and I, of course, identified with her in that. One of her first gigs was the Munich Company of Hair. She did a lot of theater in Europe, and I was like, good on you, sister.
I'm glad you brought up your dance past, because I wanted to, I'm a big Broadway nerd, so like I know you can sing because I watch all the YouTube videos, but I think probably the most, the general public who's not paying super close attention to Broadway maybe mostly knows you from So You Think You Can Dance, because you were a top 20 finalist there. And you have this incredible number doing MacArthur Park, which really mirrors Donna's sort of decision to say, I'm actually a singer. I don't have to rely on this disco stuff and synthesizers. I can sing. And the number, for anyone who hasn't seen it, go see it just for this number. Kill it. It's incredible. But what does it feel? Is that like a moment you can tap into that? It looks like you're just completely owning that moment by yourself.
I do tap into it. I've had to do a lot of work for this particular project in order to capture the essence of her sound. But as I say this quite frequently, I'm not doing an impersonation of her. I'm trying to honor her, who she was, and part of that has been getting to know my own voice the best way that I possibly can, because she had an undeniable voice, but she also didn't necessarily like the sound of it. So that moment in MacArthur Park in particular is a moment for me as like Ariana. I can tap into that through disco and stand on my own 2 feet and present that to the audience. Because you're right, a lot of people don't realize that I can just stand and sing without moving. I love to bump and grind like with the best of them, but that's the moment in the show where if you don't nail it, you just don't nail it, right?
Yeah.
People are coming to hear that song. It's
Mhm.
her most well known tracks, right? It also means a lot at that moment in the show. She's just given up her daughter. Uh, so I'm really proud of what I'm doing. It's taken me quite a long time to get that moment in the show to where I want it, and I actually feel at the top of my vocal game when I do it each night.
Well, you should be proud. It's an incredible thing to watch.
Thank you.
Is it intimidating then to sort of step into these songs that are so known and beloved, and know you have to kind of put your own spin on it?
Wow, frozen because you are a little frozen.
Oh, did it go?
You there? There you are. Of course, it's intimidating. These. I love this music, and I'm a fan of the phrase "if it ain't broke, don't fix it." Right?
Mhm.
I never went in trying to just replicate. So I do put my own spin on things, and I hope that people get on the ride with me and appreciate that, because the reality is nobody can top what she did. So why try? Why? Don't even bother. There will never be another Donna Summer, but her music is iconic and it's special and it's fun. So why not go on the ride with that?
Yeah. And as I said, you play one of three different versions, along with LaShawne's and Storm Lever, chronicling her. You're the sort of middle version. Was there anything the three of you had to do to sort of get on the same page in terms of a unifying uh, performance, or was it all sort of left up to the individual?
Oh, we definitely did a lot of consulting with each other about her. We shared things we discovered. I remember LaShawn had found um, the intimate portrait uh, interview before we had. So she shared that with us. And Stormy Weather. Oh, I love her. I love this girl. Can't say enough nice things about her. Um, this is her debut, and she's ferocious.
Yeah.
She's so cerebral and intelligent about how she's approached this work. Specifically, when it came to, there are moments in the show where three of us are together on stage, and that can be kind of confusing. But we did a lot of talking, a lot of picking out little details here and there. If you've seen the show, if you happen to see it again, there are some gestures that all three of us try to incorporate throughout the piece. And we definitely spent a lot of time talking about what it is to wear multiple hats and to feel like you're not nailing it all the time. It's hard to be multiple things for millions of people. So how do you find your own peace of mind? Where how do you maintain Donna? How did she do it? Did she do it? At times she did not. And what's each of our part in that? Makes sense?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think my disco would not be what it is if I hadn't been able to confer with LaShawne's and Storm.
And LaShawne's is quite the Broadway legend. Is it? Do you have you learned anything from just performing alongside her?
Oh, of course. Are you kidding? She's a masterclass. I've learned a lot from her both on and off stage. She's, oh God, she's just, to me, she's thrilling to watch because she knows how to just stand and be, and she accepts that like her humanity is interesting enough. She doesn't have to do anything else but say the words and present the music.
Mhm.
And I've learned a lot by watching her incorporate that throughout the show. And off stage, I'm really lucky to have her as a true leader of our company, and I've learned how to be a better leader myself. She leads by example. She has a specific way that she communicates, and I'm learning about that because this is really my first time out of the gate leading in this capacity. Um, so she's become a real friend, mentor, and a role model.
Some You've worked with a lot of really big names on Broadway. Robert De Niro in A Bronx Tale, directing that. Someone, a little show called Hamilton, with Lin-Manuel Miranda, as well as his Bring It On the musical. Once you're involved in Hamilton, does that sort of just like that whirlwind, does that prepare you for anything? You feel like you could tackle anything after that?
Oh my God, I wish I could say that was the case. My cat's tail is here, ready. Sorry. That show was such, like you said, a whirlwind, but it was also a very singular experience. I don't think anything will ever equate to it. Um, but I do think if you can get through something like that and survive, that pretty much anything is possible.
Mm-hmm.
I will say so far, this ride has been different, incredibly different from Bronx Tale and Hamilton. I'm also working in a different capacity, but I will say having the opportunity to work with Lynn and to work with Bob and Jerry Zaks for that matter, and Chaz commentary,
Mm-hmm.
and watching how they handle themselves, watching how they navigate a room and navigate their stardom, what they say, what they don't say. It's been my luck and my privilege to be able to observe them that has helped me get to where I am now. Um, and I'm grateful because I think I'm managing fairly well as a result of all the things I've learned and all the things I've seen.
Well, I would say one thing you manage really well is the finale of the show, which is so high energy, and like the crowd just immediately jumps to their feet without even, there's no call from you guys really to say start dancing. Everyone just kind of
Do it.
leaves that. They
Great.
can't help themselves. So what is it like to end every night on that note?
Oh, it's both fabulous and it's a little overwhelming. A lot of energy coming at you.
Yeah.
But I also know that's a sign that we've done our job that night. We don't, like you said, we don't ask them to do it; they just do it, and I believe that's a good indicator or indicator that they've had a great time and that they've really enjoyed themselves. I I love looking out and seeing such a diverse group of people. I mean, yes, I'm playing to a lot of women, which hey, I enjoy that. I love the ladies. But it's not just women. It's not just the girl parties. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of men out there, and recently a lot of teenagers are showing up, and I think that's really cool because that means Donna Summer is, you know, um, infiltrating a whole new generation, and that's very exciting to me as well. Just because for the sheer fact that she created an entire genre,
Right.
birth a new type of music, and that's awesome. But I think, yeah, it's stunning and totally overwhelming.
Were you overwhelmed when you received the Tony nomination? What was your first reaction to that?
Oh, I burst into tears. Of course, I was overwhelmed. I wish I was speechless. I wish I had a better answer for that, but I was totally speechless. This is 100% not something that was on my radar at all. I realize the type of piece that I've chosen to work on is it's not necessarily something that was made for theatrical critics. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
we're there to entertain people. The fact that we're able to give you a little substance and a good time, that's cool. Um, I took this job because it was a great new challenge for me, and it would give me the opportunity to do something I've never done in a way I've never done it. Um, and I was excited to be able to build something in the style of like Charlotte D'Amboise and Debbie Allen. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
those are all the reasons why I was like, excuse me. I thought I was being punked. And then my best friend FaceTimed me, and I cried with him because I've known him since I was 16 years old. And you dream of seeing your face on that screen, or hearing Leslie Odom or Catherine McPhee say your name. But when it actually happens, it's just like, wait, I did it? What? My hard work paid off, my commitment to taking risks. And if anybody knows anything about me, it's that I'm not afraid to take a risk. And
Mhm.
I am outspoken. I have a lot of opinions. Kind of annoying, I know. But, I mean, what's the point in being in this industry if you're not going to take chances?
Yeah, absolutely. And your category is cool too because um, there's many of you in there who are having their first Tony nomination. You have these like legends like Diana Rigg. She's been there before, but but everyone, it's their first time.
Seriously, when I saw Diana Rigg's little headshot up there, I almost peed my pants a little bit. I'm such a fan of hers, but I'm also such a fan of Lindsay Mendez, who's been a staple of our community. I'm a fan of Ashley Park. I'm a fan of Renee Fleming. I think it's so cool. We're all so different. We all specialize in a different thing. None of us do the same thing. You know what I mean? And that's awesome, because that means the nominating committee was like, look at all of these different styles of theater. And to me, the nominations just say like every single one of them is valid. And that means a lot to me. I haven't seen a triple threat role similar to what I'm doing currently in a long time.
Hmm.
So that it actually really does mean quite a bit to me. I'm so excited. I'm just so excited.
Well, I think that's probably all the time we have for you. Thanks for sitting down, and I'm excited for you to go on this journey in the lead up to the Tonys.
Thank you.
So best of luck with everything. Continue to belt out MacArthur Park. I'll probably go back to see that.
Oh, I'd love to have you, and trust me, I will. Have a good one.
Thanks for chatting with me.
Or,
Bye.
bye.